Bonjour, good evening, good afternoon, good morning. How's everyone doing? Are we loving these shitty fucking markets? Chop is brutal. Ah, it's not if you don't fucking trade it, mate. Chop chop yawn. Well, that's not really chop, is it? It's been an uptrend for like however many days in a row. And now it's just pulling back. I grant you that we've been in this Bitcoin range for a long time, but there's been plenty of opportunity to play. It's just, it would be nice if we could get here on X, but Twitter's still waiting. What do you mean, mate? What are you on about? I'm streaming on everything. So I think I'm even streaming on TikTok, for Christ's sake. It is what it is. Yeah, exactly. That's it. It's like I love people who say I need to make like 5% a day in terms of like my trading return, and the market has moved 0.2% in total. Like, nice. Imagine targeting yourself with an arbitrary number when the market doesn't even give you that opportunity. They let boomers on TikTok. Yeah, they do, mate. Apparently so. They don't really check your age or anything like that, or your ID. Just let you on it. You can just boom away on TikTok. But yeah, what's going on? I mean, it's just been... I haven't really traded much this week, to be honest, because it's actually been nice weather in the UK for once. But I thought I'd better, since I scheduled this, I better log on. Better keep the fans content. I mean, for me personally, like, all of this big ramp up, like, and this is what I was on about, right? This bit here. That was... What the fuck am I doing? Oh, my right mouse button's a bit fucked. But this whole period here, really, really nice to trade. The long side. Really, really nice. And in the last, last week, basically, I started a little, like, live streaming account with the group. And fucked it up a little bit on Saturday because I was still hungover from my Friday night shenanigans. But we won't talk about that. But I made all my money in this period from shorting, and actually lost money from longs, which is bizarre. Very, very unlike me. But just, you know, a reflection of price action. Got a lot of traffic on TikTok? Nah, mate. I think it's my mum, and that's it. Nah, I'm joking. I don't even think I've got any followers on TikTok, to be brutally honest. But I just connected it up to this Streamlabs thing, and it streams everywhere. It just streams. If you go to your nan's house, I'm probably on a fucking radio or something. It's over. It's not over. People are just mistaking, as usual, like summertime low liquidity chop, and like let's bet the fucking mortgage on the next move, with you know, a high time frame range, which we've been in for a little while. Um, it's just not particularly great. Everyone keeps going ape shit long, or just pure bulltard. Trump's gonna announce fucking Bitcoin as the US reserve asset. Yeah, of course he is, you cunts. Of course he is. Do you know what I mean? Like, even if there was a possibility of him announcing that, like, the chances of it were always kind of so low that it's bizarre that people would just ape their entire net worths to reflect that. But whatever. Whatever. I'm a slow and steady person. I got a question earlier, which is which made me smile. What was it? I'll just go back to it. After making a significant sum Did you blow up, Charlie? And started back from 0, or you're lucky enough not to blow up? I was like, what do you mean lucky enough? There's no fucking luck about it. Like, there's a little bit of luck in terms of managing your exchange risk. You know, not putting it all on FTX or all your stables in Luna or something like that, right? But they were all very proactive choices. Like, always talked about exchange risk, even before fucking FTX went down. Because I lost money in Cryptopia, for anyone who remembers that shit house. It was actually really fun. I used to like Cryptopia a lot. Best viewers on what? Some link that I probably shouldn't say out loud. Keep going apeshit long and it doesn't bounce. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is like, I think people are still treating conditions as if they're like hugely risk on in terms of rotations, and it's just not panning out that way for people, and it just, you know, it's one of those things. 17k next. Bear trap. Like, it's one of those things, like, I just don't think that, I don't think we're going to break out this range anytime soon, particularly. And I keep saying in my outlooks, it's like the same old boring fucking Charlie story of, I'm interested in trading around here, and I could be tempted with a little flip at this level, but nothing particularly major, right? There's just no reason for me to, like, get involved in this Bitcoin just chop. I'd much rather be playing rotations on a low time frame basis. You know, we've got shit like Popcat doing a rotation now. You know, 2% rotation. Yeah. Is it particularly risk on? It's pretty good in terms of the bounce. Alright, 2.5% rotation. Yeah, the strongest asset out there. We tend to get this kind of price action about this time, which you know, is nice. And we've had a pretty, let's go to Popcat, shall we? I was actually short on this retest down here, but now we've got that, you know. Have we actually set that low? Let's zoom in. Literally touched it and bouncing. And it is the highest beta asset on this current rotation. So if I wasn't live streaming, I'd potentially trade it, but I am live streaming and I can't be bothered to multitask. But even this, yeah, this is quite a slow buyback, right? These are not the conditions we had months ago, where we're just getting like literally that. You have the strong sell-off, everyone just fucking apes back in and buys it back up. Your chart color layer is porn. You want a copy? Nah, mate. I paid big dollar for this. I literally got someone to design this. Yeah, man. I think a lot of people are gonna massively overtrade this chop in terms of BTC specifically. I think there's lots of opportunity on alts, and we'll come through some of those. I think. Even some of like these sell-offs are not really leading into any major divergences or anything like that. Like, it's all just a bit choppy price action. Probably get a nice little rotation here to the upside, but in which case Popcat's probably the best asset to, you know, go balls deep long on because of the beta. But in terms of invalidation on a higher time frame perspective, it ain't particularly great. So yeah, it has been a bit choppy. It's definitely been a bit more difficult to trade. For me, what I'm looking for on BTC is basically anything around those levels, as I've mentioned. The other thing that I'm really quite kind of conscious of is, you know, anything that's like losing high time frame ranges, like Pepe. So Pepe is, you know, I want to be bullish on Pepe. I want to be long on Pepe. I still have my spot back from 8.5 or wherever it was, like down here. I still have spot from down here, which, you know, I'm almost in a position where I have to sell. But what I would rather is this is the sell-off, and then we just get to play that simple range reclaim again. And we just play that range reclaim, and we just keep doing it until it stops working. It stops giving us nice rotations, right? That's literally it. Hopefully we get a bit of strength here. Hopefully we get that range reclaim. And hopefully we can take a next run at Pepe again. Again, there's like really janky, like this is not a divergence. I don't know why the indicator is, I didn't code this indicator by the way. Well I did, but not the RSI bit, I stole that. And that's not exactly a clean divergence. It is technically a higher low, but it is not perfect. You know, I wouldn't consider that to be an actionable trade. But yeah, looking for the next leg here for Pepe. You know, I still think Pepe is a very, very good meme coin. I think it's very memeable. I know it's a bit of a boomer meme coin compared to some of the dog shit low caps that like Nero or whatever. That's you know, this is the real Nero. That's what I want isn't the real one, and all this kind of bullshit. Like my dad's harder than your dad kind of schoolyard shite that we're now getting over who deployed what meme coin first on what chain and all this kind of stuff. Pretty pathetic in terms of summertime lulls and volatility and general frustration. But equally, if Pepe can't start showing any strength anytime soon, then I'll just exit my spot, which was a lovely trade, which we talked about on stream. We talked about leaving some spot bids in to grab those lows when it sold off way back here, and when we were talking about this high time pivot back here. But yeah, market isn't looking wonderfully strong, is it? Charlie, can you share your spaghetti chart, brother? Yeah, of course I can. When I said about the what's it called, the chart colors, etc. Like, you just steal that, mate. I'll stick it in the chat if I can. I don't know how I do it on Twitter. Let's see. It's loading, apparently loading the chat. I can do it on YouTube very, very easily. There you go. There it is there. And we will stick it in the chat for YouTube as well, which is currently in subscribers only mode, which I'm apparently not a subscriber of, so therefore I can't respond to it. Fucking what a boomer. What a boomer. Absolute legend. But yeah, no free money only. Yeah, I like that. Solana meme version at some point too. Yeah, I mean, Solana's been generally really strong, right? So, you know, from a Sol BTC perspective, I talked about this a lot on various streams in terms of where's a reasonable point to start thinking about, you know, potential reversals on Solana. Like, Sol BTC has been quite clean in terms of this range, right? And we're starting to see a little bit of weakness up at the highs. There's kind of no real reason to think that this is going to completely stop, in my opinion. Like, I think Sol is one of the best majors out there. Like, obviously we've had pumps on things like BCH in the last couple of weeks, and like XRP and all sorts of dog shit. But and the Sol BTC chart just it's pretty good in terms of relative strength, particularly over the last month. You know, I don't want to be shorting Solana necessarily. In fact, you know, this was the last trade that we talked about on stream. Yeah, and I'd still stick behind that as a general principle of it probably goes higher. Thank you. You're welcome, mate. It's always updated. Hello, Delta. How are you, sir? Can't see if that's quote-unquote real Delta. Ah, it is. Bonjour, my friend. How are you doing, mate? Are you winning? Yeah, I mean, it's just bleak at the moment. And I feel like I can't keep up with the bajillion coins that are launching every single day. Yeah, really nice move on XRP earlier, actually, bizarrely. And it's one that I want to keep on my radar for like this rotation, because if we start breaking out of this consolidation in this range, then you know, XRP becoming a trending coin, which sickens me to say. But from an intraday rotational perspective, it could be quite nice. So I am looking for a little bit of low time frame relative strength on XRP to give me that trigger to jump in and get on board, get involved with it, right? But I'm not just going to blindly ape whilst Bitcoin is essentially trending down and not really showing any major signs of strength, right? Really want to see that like reversion go across essentially this really shitty div down here. Usually you get that like last little pump even if you continue going, but there is just general weakness at the moment. Yeah, what do we all think high time frame then, ladies and gentlemen? Are we all just waiting for Q3? As in kind of, actually no, Q4. So we are in Q3 obviously, dumbass. Start Q4. I was thinking more sort of September time, I guess. Which technically is still Q3, but... What price would you look to long? On what, mate? And on what basis? Like, this is the thing that I guess maybe people don't know about me and how I trade. I tend to trade one of two ways, which is very high time frame. So I'm just looking at daily or 4-hour charts, and I'm just looking for a swing position that I can leave open for days, weeks, months, whatever. Or I'm trading on the 1 second chart, like quite literally, and trying to catch low time frame rotations. Chop till the white collars come back. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Like, unless something major happens to basically break us out of the range, and what that might be, I don't know. I'm not a fucking, astrologer or whatever. I'm not going to just predict a load of random bullshit. But, if something major happens, then yeah, I could see us breaking out of the range, and whichever way it breaks, I think the trend is going to be violent. So if it breaks down, it's going to be pretty fucking catastrophic in terms of like, you get this across here, have one stab, have two, and if this was the third, I think this would be the one that actually really, really fucks the market. Equally though, look how many attempts we've had at the highs, and if we actually run it up again, I'm pretty sure that this time it just wouldn't hold. And actually, we've had that, huge length of time consolidating at this kind of very wide range, right? Let's not pretend it's not. But we've had a lot of time consolidating there. So really, if we break above and we sort of clear that all-time high, I would not expect it just to reject. I would expect the greater the consolidation, the bigger the expansion. But obviously I can be wrong. Opinions on ETH? I just think there's so many better options than ETH. Like, for me, this is like last chance saloon for ETH, right? Just from a high time frame pivot perspective. Like, this, meme line through here, and I'll give you my thought process, right? It's a few things. Like, firstly, we've had that whole hype around like ETF and all that kind of stuff, right? We had a nice little run up way back when, start of the year, basically sold off. In terms of like ETH BTC, it looks like a bearish retest in terms of strength. Nice move up, potential rejection, and off it goes down into the depths of hell. But ETH in and of itself on the USD pair doesn't look too bad. It does look like this is like the last chance saloon. So from like an ETH spot perspective, like this would be the last time I would potentially, accumulate or buy before the next leg up. Like, otherwise, yeah, it's just, it's a pretty simple trade around a high time frame pivot. But really, I don't like the complete lack of strength that it's shown recently, and the fact that this is, that is former support of the ETH BTC pair, resistance, 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 etc., and just crashing through it and now retesting, and usually that leads to continuation to the downside, right? If you start going on a higher time frame basis, it has been in a very strong downtrend for a long time. If you started it here and just when it literally cannot break this downtrend, it's still in a downtrending channel. Alright, not perfect, but you get the point. Yeah, it's not particularly exciting. Oh, excellent. A foreign exchange trading app. Perfect, just what I want. Go get scammed by some forex gurus. Lovely. Absolute perfection. Maybe I'll treat myself to YouTube Premium, but yeah, it hasn't happened yet. Maybe next bull run I'll be able to afford YouTube Premium. So yeah, that's my opinion on ETH, and usually on these streams I go through ETH in a bit more detail, but that's kind of it. This is last chance saloon in my opinion, but from a low time frame perspective, it just doesn't look great. You've got that change in market structure even on the 4 hour, right? It's pretty good up until this point where you've got your first lower high, and actually momentum suggests that it can't hold the 50. It's just not looking wonderful, and this is kind of the last chance to defend that market structure. And obviously this high time frame pivot, so you could be a bit more aggressive in terms of your stops and do something a bit like that. But yeah, I'm just not overly confident in Ethereum at this moment, in these conditions, in this environment. Hopefully that answers, mate. Thought Zero was going to throw a leg before too long. Yeah, maybe. I haven't actually looked at the Zero chart for fucking ages. I assumed it was just on a path to zero. Obviously, we've looked at it before then. So actually, from a structure perspective, it's got quite a nice markup, markdown, potential accumulation, and then another markup. It's not terrible in terms of potential setup. You're looking at a breakout play, obviously, across these highs. But yeah, I mean, I would obviously want a little bit of relative strength to get me enticed and excited. But again, not interested in diddling here. Diddle around the extremes. That's what this is where I want to play, because it gives me nice validation. So yeah, we've got kind of Pepe. I mean, generally, it's been like a meme market, right? Memes have been shit hot. I've been saying this for fucking ages, that it's TradFi and TradFi in terms of the IQ spectrum. That shift really happened after March, I think, where it just went memes on this end and Bitcoin and maybe ETH or Sol on this end. That's literally it. And obviously all the pump lot fun stuff and all the proper low caps are down here somewhere. Yeah, typically it's been look, not really any strength. Pepe being a bit shit on the old beta. Not ideal. Just no major strength, right? If we zoom out on Bitcoin and we go, right, well, where was the low on Bitcoin, and what's happened since that low? Just back here. Alts are still bleeding. Risk is just off, which is why, as I said at the start of the stream, my shorts have been paying and my longs have not, because the market is just in a bit of a risk-off, lazy summer mode. What's up? Hey, Crypto McDuck. How's it going, mate? Go and buy Kai. Pump my bags. Bonk looks good. Hedging into Farm C every single time, mate. Yeah, maybe. Bonk looks good. I tried to trade Bonk the other day, and fuck me, did it not go well? I marketed in like 50, 100k clips or whatever. Maybe it was just 50, and it was just like, bosh, there's the candle, fucking 5% up or something stupid. It was just, the books were so empty, it's unbelievable. Absolute fucking trash tier coin. But yeah, I was looking at Bonk on Monday, that was it, wasn't it? Because I was looking at this breakout here. And I was looking at this from a high time frame pivot perspective again. Like, you'll see this quite commonly throughout my analysis, guys. Like, it's not, you know, super rocket science. But we actually had a little bit of low time frame strength on Bonk, and we had quite a few Solana memes running. So there was this kind of dual thought of, well, if we are sat up here, and or wherever it was up here, excuse me, I'm losing my voice a little bit. That's not ideal. And you know, Bonk is looking pretty good, and we start getting that strength into that rotation. Yeah, this is where it was. That we should be able to clear it, and we should be able to have a nice, you know, 5-10% type candle where we actually just run it to the highs. Not like the all-time highs, but you know, local highs at least, like up here somewhere. It would have been a nice trade, nice thought process. But obviously, the American government had different ideas, and we have to be dynamic to the market and what's going on, right? And not every trade is going to work. Unfortunately, I don't have a 100% hit rate. I'm not one of those pro gurus that breaks even on every trade. Unfortunately, I take losses. Typically small losses. So yeah, that was the thought process on Bonk. I mean, for me, for it to look good again, like, kind of have to hold up like down here, or it has to regain some form of relative strength, which, you know, to be honest with you, the way that the market looks at the moment is going to be a bit of a challenge. But not only that, like, if you look at what's beta at the moment, it's not really much. It's more focused on you know, the newer memes like Popcat. You've got Whiff up there, Bonk will be in there somewhere. Yeah, like, nothing is standing out to me, particularly after the FTM's out there on this rotation, but there's nothing that's majorly interesting on this rotation. Not particularly, anyway. Which is a bit dull. It doesn't make for great streaming, does it? It looks dull. I think was it last week we did? Maybe I was in the group. I'm losing track of what was on this stream and what was in the group stream. But we shorted Popcat and closed it at the bottom and long Pepe, I think, on a nice like rotation. Was that on this stream? I can't remember. Time blurs into one when you're as old as me. Hey Zaxi, hello Krispy Kreme. How's it going? People on different platforms must be really confused when I'm talking to people who apparently aren't there, apparently aren't on that platform. But case right, it's what it is. So yeah, I mean, I really want to just get long memes, and like, that's been the big money play for, you know, some time. They're just high beta, good rotations, generally pretty clean. The issue generally is liquidity, and actually probably not smashing market buy like a retard, which is what I do 90% of the time because I'm lazy as fuck. I don't really care about fees, but I should. Yeah. Maybe we get a nice rotation now. Now that the Americans hopefully done selling off all their wonderful government Bitcoin. So what do we think the next narratives are going to be in the market then, ladies and gents? Looking to short Jasm on high time frame. Holy fuck. Jasm's been pretty strong, hasn't it? I'm fairly certain Jasm's been one of the better performers on some rotations. Maybe I'm just on crack. No, I'm not on crack. So Jasm is here. So obviously this is a select basket of altcoins. This isn't everything, yada yada yada. Someone always corrects me and says, but Doge Kamanu 69, which is fucking 100k liquidity, is pumped 50% in a week. And would be up here. Like, it's still pretty high in terms of return, right? So I'll have a look at Jasm, but there's only one or two setups on that kind of thing that I really like. Okay, so I'm on the 5-minute chart, not particularly great. You know, I would much rather be looking for a long on this, right? My rationale is twofold. One, like really easy invalidation in terms of local price action, right? Again, similar to Pepe, reclaim it, long it. Why long it? Well, because as we were going into the sell-off, Jasm was one of the stronger coins, and logically, if we sell off and we reset and we get a new fresh setup, you know, it is reasonable to assume that it will still continue to be strong. If it's not, Spaghetti will tell us, and we can cut the position and manage our risk reasonably. But if it is, we can keep it and we can arrange, you know, we can look for these highs on this range, and maybe because this will be the third attempt at like this level, break out and get a trending play. You know, if you really want to try and short it from here, I would just play around this and hope for something like that. It's me personally. But I prefer fading strength when it's pretty fresh, so when it's something like that, right? And before, you know, anyone jumps on it, that's exactly what I did with Whiff. If any of you care to recall, way back before it was cool, when I shorted wherever it was, up in here, up there in the Owly or something. I don't know, I'll check the timeline, but it was way back here. I think it was the Owly. Yeah, I think it was that there. It's a strong move, sell off, clean the eye, and go. Was it there? I don't know, either way, it was fucking high. And it was good. Might have been there. Might have been 4-2. As in, looking at it from this kind of high time frame perspective, and then failure to produce a higher high, and just assume continuation to the downside. Yeah, because I think I closed it down here somewhere. Yeah, you know, I don't tend to just play the range to the downside, especially where Bitcoin is at the moment, right? I'd be far more tempted if Bitcoin was sat at range lows and we had this, then yeah, I could be much more aggressive with it on the premise that there is a higher chance, right, that Bitcoin down here is going to drop. But Bitcoin's up here somewhere in respect to its relative range, yeah? If it drops, yeah, great. You know, this will start selling off as well because everything, you know, is correlated back to BTC, yeah? Bitcoin goes down, everything goes down. It's pretty much guaranteed. And if it's not, and that doesn't happen, then you've probably found a really, really strong asset that you definitely need to look at longing. Not straight away, but if Bitcoin does proper sell off and capitulate, this will be one of the first to recover. So yeah, I don't want to be aggressive short here, or sorry, here on Jasm because of where Bitcoin is. But if we were sat, for argument's sake, down at the range lows on BTC, I could justify taking a more aggressive position on the basis that if we lose this low on Bitcoin, that is going to cover me. You know, and based on the logic I talked about earlier in terms of the greater the consolidation, you know, the more violent the expansion, either way, think it lends itself to a real different mindset. Does that make sense? Very good to catch a stream, hope you're doing well. Yeah, mate, I'm good. When would I look at to re-enter Sol? Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. We'll jump onto that. I mean, you could have just taken this trade, obviously. I mean, it's difficult because where we're at the moment, obviously, we've kind of cleared this level nicely. Like, if you were just talking baby pips PA, you'd just want that, right? You'd want this pivot here to hold, i.e. former resistance, support. You'd want that to hold, but it kind of breaks the argument of market structure down quite a bit. Maybe you'd want a bit of a front run, so you could justify it coming down to this level and playing around, you know, essentially this former support down here. But I've put that as a very light little line because I don't think there's going to be much demand there. But yeah, you know, I wouldn't necessarily think that if we start pulling back that there's going to be some huge demand here. But that would be where I'd want to jump in if I was not positioned at all in Solana. Any alpha on taking low time frame take profits? I'm round trip all. Someone asked me in the group the other day actually about, you know, how do you not round trip profits? And my honest answer was, yeah, you can't stop doing that, right? There is no guaranteed system that will say, okay, and unless you are just setting like blunt limits, right? If you mean round tripping as in, I had $1,000 on the table, and I didn't take it off the table, despite the fact that $1,000 is a huge amount of money to me or my portfolio or whatever. And my rules say that if you hit $1,000 on any trade, you close that trade, right? Like if you're round tripping because of your stupidity and greed, that's a different story. And there are ways to kind of control that a little bit more and go, okay, well I'm going to record that. I'm going to, you know, print it out on a post-it note. I'm going to or a picture and put it on my desk. I'm gonna stick it as my desktop background of the stupid fucking trade I did. I'm gonna, you know, tell someone about it. I'm gonna say, look what I did. Like every time I want to show someone that $1,000 trade or whatever it might be, 10,000, 100,000. I don't know what you guys trade with, but you know what I mean. Like that kind of point of your P&L goes like this, and you go, it's fucking going to infinity, right? And we've all been there. We've all had a trade where we've gone, right, I'm up $100, I'm up $1,000, I'm up $10,000, I'm up $100,000. Holy fuck, I'm the greatest trader since fucking sliced bread. And then bosh, and you just go, ooh, I would have liked that $100,000. Ooh, well, I'm sure it'll come back. You know, we're back down to like 50. Okay, well, cool. Right, we're back up to 70. Oh, this is alright. We're gonna get back to this imaginary bullshit number that we never actually got to, never actually realised, and then bosh. Oh shit, you know. We're down at like 50k now. We just round trip 50k for no fucking reason. Oof. Well, that's alright, you know, everything's starting to change. Bitcoin's at support. Bosh. Oh, fuck. Well, I might as well get something out of this. You close it for like fuck all. Yeah? We've all been there. And I mean, the different ways of like managing that are, you know, partially taking profits on the way up. Having those arbitrary numbers of, you know, X amount is a huge amount to you. But, you know, I round trip trades too. Like it happens. It literally happened. I tweeted it this morning, but it happened to me last night. I was in a short. My TP did not get hit by like $0.0001, and then it literally went like that, and I went, oh fuck this. Basically back on my entry and fucking, well no, not at my entry actually. I took a loss on it, and I was up, you know, a reasonable amount, and then I literally I wasn't. I don't know what I was doing. I was watching telly, I think, with my wife. I checked it and I was like, oh my god, you cunting thing. Like, you know, and I just didn't want to be glued to the screen, etc. I could have used, but I didn't, some form of, you know, a bit more of a dynamic take profit in terms of like a trailing stop or something like that, just to ensure that I got something. But like I said, I didn't. Trailing stops are great if you can be there. You know, that kind of process of making sure you at least lock in some profit is probably better for these conditions. So when you're in, I guess a good way to put it is when you want to be aggressive and defensive in terms of profit taking. Like for me, I'm quite defensive in profit taking at the moment, right? Market oscillates from easy mode to hard mode, easy mode to hard mode, easy mode to hard mode, etc. You know, I think we're kind of, if this is easy, right, we're doing E, and that's hard for H. They don't really look much different because I'm clearly fucking retarded at doing stuff. But, you know, I think we're kind of closer to this end than this end. And if we're in this end, then we need to be taking profits a little bit more regularly, not trying to swing every single fucking move as if it's the actual Pico bottom, because the entire market's up like 10x from the lows, right? We've had a pretty good fucking run, even if it ends here. Not to be bearish, not to be boring and all that kind of stuff, but it's been pretty fucking good. So, you know, I think we're kind of in this area a little bit more than we're in this area. And I think when you're thinking about taking profits or swinging or doing whatever, like that's how I think of it anyway. Am I likely to catch the big breakout of the next leg? Well, Spaghetti's telling me that there's not a huge amount of risk on in the market. Like, not many alts are outperforming BTC. Like even back here, right? It's not huge amounts. On low time frame rotations, there's really not that much risk. Like it's not, even after the lows, like there's only a few shitcoins, and most of them are shitcoins, fucking AVE, ton, whatever, like fucking trash, that are above BTC. You know, if Bitcoin goes up, yeah, okay, they'll go up a little bit. But if Bitcoin goes down, they'll go down a lot. So tell me what about that scenario makes you think you should go balls deep risk on. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I know I've massively ranted there about taking profits and round tripping and doing all that kind of stuff. I just want to, you know, stress that I round trip too. Not all the time, but it still happens. And there is no perfect system. But this is kind of my mental framework for trying to say, what should I be doing more of? Should I be trying to do more of smaller low time frame rotations, or should I be swinging for the hills and trying to catch that, you know, next huge leg of the market? And certainly in current conditions, it's the former, not the latter. I'm just gonna check in and say, does that kind of make sense, or have I just ranted and just bored you all to fucking tears, or both? Maybe it makes sense. Maybe I've bored the shit out of you as well. It's currently in a bearish OB or block, I guess. Expect another small push on BTC. Yeah, maybe. Can you give us some views on MOG? Ah, yeah, MOG's actually been pretty good in terms of beta. Someone added it to, or got me to add it to Spaghetti last week. Was it MOG? Oh no, they got me to add something else, didn't they? What was it? And then it was like, oh, this is the cartel coin. And I was like, oh no, I haven't even got paid like hundreds of thousands of dollars for this. What the fuck? Yeah, I mean, from a technical perspective, like there was actually a really nice divergence across this high here, in terms of MOG, and it's not quite at the extremes, but I like divergences in general, just to say, when do you start thinking about risking off? Again, not necessarily take the short, which obviously I didn't, but yeah, pretty clean in terms of just simple lower high, right? Versus a higher high on price. How I look at MOG high time frame is very simple. I'm looking at high time frame market structure. I'm looking at basically this pivot level here. I'm looking at the fact that we've had, this structure on this run, which was all nice and bullish, and that broke down here. Now, if we're starting it again, you kind of want to see a higher low formed at some point. Probably need to go down to like the 4 hour or something to really labor that point. And jumping in, you want to see this hold basically. You want to see some form of strength here, and us starting to continue. So this form of consolidation, fuck me, that's a lot of doodles, isn't it? I would want to see some form of show of strength here, as in we are continuing to hold that bullish momentum on RSI, and ideally have some form of decent beta, but okay, it's the pink one. So it's, is it Rune? Oh, that's Rune. It is. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there it is. Mog. So yeah, not particularly great. But yeah, this is where I'd be looking for the next leg of it. Certainly. Why do we see similar action on alts on Bitcoin Spaghetti? I've seen some alts for the Bitcoin supply and demand zone structures. Why do you see them? It's because they're highly correlated, man. Like if Bitcoin goes up, right? Right, just pretend that we're not in an environment where Bitcoin ranges or does anything like that. Bitcoin goes up, typically alt USD pairs will go up. Yeah? They might not go up as much as BTC. They might go up more, in which case that's good. They're the alts you really want to be long, because you're only long altcoins because they outperform BTC on a percentage basis, yeah? And if you've got an altcoin that's going up 1%, let me just color these, right? Let's pretend this is BTC. Let's do this a little bit properly. Yeah, so that's BTC in orange. So if you've got one of these alts, they're bad. Why? Because you're taking on an awful lot of risk in terms of liquidity, in terms, less liquidity, it's harder to get filled and it's harder to exit, and more potential volatility risk for a lower return, yeah? Which is why I'm never really interested in these coins. This, however, you are getting a higher percentage return on the basis of, it has a better chance of doing this and doing a 10-15% move than these, which will underperform BTC with lower liquidity and much more downside risk when they do actually sell off, in terms of that sell off into little to no liquidity. But because everything is pretty much tied back to BTC, and I don't know whether it's because of the way the algos move in the market or quite what it is, but historically, alts and BTC used to be quite different because you used to have alt and BTC pairs, and it used to be the case if Bitcoin moved up, which is the wrong color, but Bitcoin moved up and alts would basically move down because the alt BTC, you would have to swap your alts for Bitcoin directly. There were like very limited amounts of USDT or USDC or whatever on trading exchanges, which shows you how old I am in this in this game. But that aside, that's kind of why when Bitcoin pumps, alts move. When Bitcoin dumps, alts move as well. And obviously they do. Pretty much every single alt will do this, and every single alt will massively drop compared to BTC. And if you do find alts that don't drop as much as BTC, they're either real low beta dog shit that just never move. They don't really do much because no one's fucking trading them, or it's potentially one of the strongest alts for when Bitcoin finds a floor and that starts moving. And when Bitcoin starts recovering ever so slightly, that coin that held up is probably going to run pretty hard. So hopefully that answers your question. What's your take on Donald? His opinion that you actually don't want to lose the 63-64 weekly cluster on BTC. I mean, let's have a look. You don't really want to lose anything on BTC. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what the fuck you mean by weekly cluster. You mean this, right? Like just this pivot, like mid-range or whatever. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much what we talked about in terms of like market structure and stuff. And you'd just assume that it would go to the range low, and that actually this time, if it loses the range, that expansion would be pretty bad. Because the greater the consolidation, the bigger the expansion, all that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, I mean, I agree with it. Like, if it goes down, it's probably going to go down more. Like, if it flips this level. Thanks, appreciate it. You're welcome. You get it. Cool. At a certain point, do you adjust your stop or break even? Do you have hard and fast rules for different circumstances? Oh, a really good question. Really good question. It's rare that I just adjust a stop to break even, to be honest, but because I'm usually here and I'm usually trading pretty actively in terms of like managing my position, and it depends on the setup. It depends on what I'm trading and why. For example, the easiest one to talk through is that when you get a very simple like breakout attempt, and this works on like pretty much any time frame in terms of my thought process. Like you get this type of structure, and like Ray Charlie's in here somewhere. Charlie's gonna smash it out for us, and ape some in at the highs, pushes average up to somewhere shitty like here, and if it starts running, great. If it doesn't start running, then I cut really, really quickly. So I'm not like just sitting my stop at break even. If we start running, then my stop probably isn't at break even. My stop's probably up here somewhere, right? I'm gonna try and lock in a little bit of profit, even if we do come back down and we retest, and then I can take that trade again, right? Not a problem. But I'd rather get something if it does work out. So in terms of like having hard and fast rules for different circumstances, yeah. Always enter a trade and put a stop on somewhere where your invalidation is, just because if you get disconnected, if you get someone knocks on the door, if something happens, your daughter falls off a slide, starts crying, you have to go out and help her, like you don't want to come back and fucking price be down here and you'd be like, oh shit, that wasn't great, that just cost me like 10 grand, whoops. But yeah, in time-based trades, I will close the trade at break even quite a bit, to be honest. Because if we're just like if we don't get that breakout at all and we're just piss assing around under here and consolidating, I'll probably get a bit impatient and I'll close it, because usually then it just does that. And if it does start going, I can always ape in with a reasonably shit entry, but a good thought process around it and almost instant invalidation as well. So I use time as a bit of an invalidation factor, particularly for breakout trades. What do you say about scalp trading? So when you say scalp trading, like that means different things to different people, right? The way that Magus would describe scalp trading, I think, is a little bit different to me. So like a scalp in Magus's mind, which is probably the technically correct term because he tends to be technically correct to those kind of things, and I do not, is a very low time frame trade, as in you are like in and out within a minute or so. Like I occasionally use scalping incorrect. Well, I do use scalping incorrectly. I'll say, oh, I'm scalping today, and it's like, well, no, I'm not. I'm in like low time frame rotational trades, which take anywhere between 10 minutes and an hour to play out. So it's kind of an intraday trade, right? That's the real term. Scalping for me, like I don't do much of that traditional time frame scalping, as in I'm in and out within a minute, right? The only time I ever really do that is if we have a big sell-off, and everything goes like that, and your volume candle essentially touches price, and you see the massive kind of capitulation, you see it all across the board, and you start getting some form of bid. Like I'll ape that, yeah, I'll ape that, and depending on the conditions, depending on the environment, depending on liquidity, like at the moment I'm not going to ape it with full size or anything like that, but when we had full risk on from October to March, most of the time when we had sell-offs like this, I'd be aping with decent size. Like now, nah, fuck that, because the market sells off and then it does fuck all, and then maybe a bit later it starts running. Maybe. I mean, look at this rotation, it's not exactly been great. So in those circumstances, I'm happy to take on essentially like liquidation events and take some forced sellers coins off them. And I can be in and out of that trade pretty quickly. But I don't do much of the 1 to 5 minute kind of scalping that is, like I say, the traditional definition of the word scalping. And I struggle with the notion that there's somebody who's turned, $10,000 into $1 million just doing like those kind of trades within, a 1 minute time frame. But I'm sure there's people that have. Don't get me wrong, right? I'm sure there are. I just struggle think why someone would want that specific approach to be their kind of chosen path of mastery, if that makes sense. I think there's a lot more opportunity on higher time frames in crypto, both from a spot perspective, trading like, even if you traded weekly charts with like EMAs, you would outperform a lot of people, right? Like, look at how it moves. Like, okay, you would capture like this. You would be bearish here and basically get stop break even. Bullish here, stop break even. Bearish, stopped for a small profit. Bullish. Alright, if you actually went bearish here, like you'd capture like this part of the move. But reasonably, you start thinking about, when we retag the EMAs, like that's my usual first point of, oh fuck. I know people who trade off EMAs, like literally on a high time frame. They tend to do like daily or 3-day, and it tends to be the combination of market structure has to be a bit bullish, or you have to have some form of like bullish price action. So like this here, when we reclaim that range, that was one of my friends just went, yeah, I'm fucking back in the market. And when all this happened, I was like, well, surely you're gonna sell now because your fucking meme, the meme EMA is done. He was like, well, no, because everything's kind of still broadly pointing up, and we haven't really lost much in terms of structure. And lo and behold, he was right, and he sold it. He sold his stuff. I think it was up here in this consolidation. He was like, well, look, we've had the fucking big move. I'm done. I'll wait. At some point, it'll either go like this, either go up and we get one more leg, lovely, and then we'll come down, consolidate around 20-30k, and then go again. It's his simple thought process, just with a high time frame EMA. Lovely. Doesn't need to be complicated. And again, his time frame is months. It's not days. It's not seconds. It's not hours. It's months. I can get spaghetti. Yeah, mate. If you go to my Twitter, it's in my bio. There should be just a link to like my link tree, and then in that, there's what's it called? The link to the trading view. If not, just DM me. Like I'll send it you. Send it you after the stream. I actually answer my DMs unless they are, please sir, can I have $5,000? Which happens pretty much every fucking day. As if I just want to give $5,000 to people, Yeah, I've answered a lot of questions. Look, CRV, one of the best performers of the day. Jesus fucking Christ. Boom. That's a shame. On my outlet yesterday, I was like, oh, this be a nice retest if we get it for Boom. Did not set an alert, did not take the trade. Perfect. Perfect analysis. Piss poor execution. But yeah, has anyone got any questions or anything like that? Otherwise, I'll probably head off, probably chill. My familia. How would you position spot on Popcat high time frame? I'd just sell it all, mate. Popcat's going to 0. Let's have a look. Let's have a look, shall we? I think it's just based off that range reclaim. Because it's one of those really shitty things now where this is like potentially the bulk of the sell-off, right? Or not. He says as it literally just starts smashing down. It kind of creates a real shitty like trade now, because we've got this like level where if we reclaim it, it's really bullish, but that level is like what, probably 10% away. And that's a whole really nice trade and rotation. So very surprising that we just haven't taken that. I mean, the best way to get involved now would be like literally if we just wick down here and just take out this, and then we get some form of like low time frame rotation on it. Let's go and see what's going on the Popcat. Yeah, nothing looking particularly wonderful. XRP, one of the like least shitty. Wild. Yeah, so we're not really seeing anything particularly spectacular. Popcat down here, actually, you know, it started off really promising at the start of the stream in terms of the beta and in terms of how it was recovering. I think it went up 2.5 or 2.9% or something like that. So, you know, that kind of rotation, really, really good. And I don't mean like, oh, it's 2.9% up, let's long it. It's more like, okay, Bitcoin has sold off, what is doing well? And Popcat, you know, started off here and started off like up 0.4% or whatever it was. Like, taking that as a starting point, that's usually pretty good in terms of like what's going to be in play and what's potentially going to run. Let's have a look at low time frame, like low time frame. Yeah. So without beta telling me it's good, let's have a look. Let's go to 1 second, see if it actually works while I'm live streaming. It's okay. So yeah, I mean, I could justify like a rotational play here, basically, but I'm not going to take it because I'm on stream. But you know, it's literally something like this, which means it's going to work out. You know, first stop highs, next stop, next leg. That's not saying that I would bet my entire net worth and like high time frame spot position on this, but in terms of like low time frame rotation, we've got a bit of risk on like with Myro, Popcat. Okay, so you know you start seeing the kind of pattern here, which is it's Solana memes, right? And you've got that confluence of all of this. You've got that low time frame. That low time frame range. Here we are literally on the 1 minute chart, right? Christ. Yeah, I guess your question was how would I position on a high time frame for the next leg, and it would be a reclaim of that range up there. Or if there was some major momentum divergences that were printing, which there do not appear to be on any time frame. And I wouldn't class that as a actionable div. Hopefully that answers. How long did it take you to grasp during correct trend lines as they can be so subjective? It's a good question. I think the market is subjective, mate. I think trading is subjective unless you are literally a quant trader. So yeah, I'm more discretionary. I'm always looking for reasons why I'm wrong. So it doesn't matter to me how specific my level is. You know, if I'm out by $1, who gives a shit on BTC? If I'm out by $1,000, yeah, okay, that's pretty fucking wild and piss poor. But most of my levels are around where is price respecting, where can I generate an invalidation on my entry, and how can I manage my positions from a from the perspective of when do I take profit on them. So yeah, Jabba the Sage, hopefully that kind of answers. Before we leave, what was the EMA used on Bitcoin on high time frame to check the trend? So it is literally a free publicly available indicator. It's just simple EMAs, and the default settings, I don't think I've actually changed them, are 25 and 12. In terms of the consolidated EMA is just a 25 period one, and the fast one is 12 and the slow one is 25. So what that means is the slow one will obviously be slower at responding to changes in the trend, and the fast one, when it crosses, it goes, well, okay, this is a bullish cross because the fast EMA has started going up and the slow one hasn't caught up yet. So we're bullish now. And then when this goes down and goes it crosses over it to the downside, it says, oh, we're bearish. That's it. And you can change EMAs. You can not show both. You can do a 200 EMA, which is a pretty kind of standard, or 100 period, or whatever. Obviously, it's not going to work for Popcat necessarily. It's too young. But you can start trading around high time frame EMAs. And there's no magic EMA number or anything like that. Anyone who tries to convince you that is bullshit and probably trying to sell you something. Like there's no magic number, right? If you're looking at a daily chart, 100 EMA tends to work. Like a lot of boomers who trade TradFi use like 50, 100, 200 EMAs just to give you like a broad direction of the trend, right? And to give you some idea of what you should and kind of shouldn't be doing in terms of betting on a high time frame directional bias. But yeah, if EMAs were perfect, you'd just write an indicator or a trading script off a couple of EMAs and let that trade for you. But I do think a combination of EMAs and price action generally really good. That is my wife WhatsApping me saying that my daughter is in bed and I go say goodnight whenever, and that my wife's put a couple of beers outside my office. What a legend. Padonk. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question, Svetan. The chart rose. Oh, do I have to, mate? Come on. There's a nice ice cold beer waiting for me outside my office door. Yeah. I mean, I usually like this kind of high time frame pivot, but you know, the context of this is the entire market is reasonably weak. We've had this run. It's now going into like the bouncing ball of momentum in terms of those lower highs. You know, I'd kind of expected just to come back into this accumulation range. Nothing particularly exciting, but it's not a bad place to, you know, say, do you know what? I'm gonna hold it above this meme level. You know, support, resistance, 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 support, etc., etc. It's pretty clean from that perspective. But would I want to buy it? Not really. Not really. I don't just buy like arbitrary lows, if that makes sense, unless there's some form of divergence in it, which there's not. Or there's some form of like relative strength going into it, do you know what I mean? Like in this rotation, Rose was a particularly strong asset. Yeah. Or I have massive bullish conviction on the fundamentals of Oasis Chain, which I do not. So yeah, unless there's anything else, boys and girls, I will love you and leave you. I do apologise that tonight's been a little bit duller in terms of next moves and stuff. Hopefully giving you some food for thought on things like Pepe, next legs on Popcat and stuff like that. I think that's where I'm really focusing my attention is memes. Bonk not looking particularly great. Could have taken the short side of that, to be fair, but didn't like the liquidity on Bybit, if I'm being honest. Yeah, in terms of Pepe, like in my opinion, I've missed the kind of easier short up here, and the only way that I could be potentially interested in trying to join the short side now is, you know, we pretend that this is a breakout, and actually we get that, and we fail to reclaim. If we fail to reclaim, that's kind of an easy. Well, I say easy. Nothing's easy, but it's, you know, a decent invalidation in terms of the short side. So yeah, I would much rather play a reclaim and take the long side, which I know I've inverted, so it will be confusing people. But yeah, that's where I want to play around basically. Hey, fellas, how's it going, man? You're probably one of like 4 people on my Twitch thing, because it doesn't normally stream to Twitch. But I've got this Streamlabs thing which streams to like everything. It's even streaming to TikTok, mate. I'm TikTok famous now. I'm not even sure I've got a follower on TikTok, to be honest with you. But your numbers are shot at the moment. I think a lot of people are actually doing this thing called enjoying life and enjoying summer. Minus 50% versus last year. Jesus Christ. That surprises me because this is, you know, late July / heading into August, which last year wasn't exactly the most exciting time, if I remember rightly, which I probably don't because I'm a fucking idiot when it comes to time. Yeah, last like June, July wasn't exactly riveting either. I mean, when you kind of put it like that, you know, this was summer last year, alright, perspective in terms of price, yada yada yada. You know, fuck all volatility, and then one move. Fuck all volatility, really. One move. Like, I suppose, kind of, well, that's May, but you get my point, is we really only had 2 major moves on BTC in the whole of June to August. Not particularly exciting, is it? One big BART. Not that I'm saying that, you know, everything is fractal and all that. I certainly don't think that. And if anything, we've had more volatility in this. You know, and it's actually been trending moves. To be honest, I enjoyed my time here to here much more than here to here. And it's not because I haven't made money in this. I've made pretty reasonable sums on the way up. But it was just the fact that I fucking shorted the absolute pico high here, whilst everyone else was shitting the bed and started to infight, while I just sat calmly watching. It was quite nice. Occasionally retweeted it, just to piss people off. Miles Dutch was saying the same, as the numbers about half. Touchable grass, yeah. Google search analytics are the same as 2022 lows, which is wild because Bitcoin is 3 times in price since then. Yeah, I mean, that is wild, to be fair. I hadn't appreciated that at all. I think the other side of, like, Bitcoin, general Google searches and all that kind of stuff is, you know, we can't expect it to keep going bananas, right? I'm not sure how it works in terms of, like, relative to, whether it's relative to, like, recent numbers of searches, if that makes sense. So, you know, is it there's 100,000 people googling Bitcoin, you know, and it always goes to this, or is it actually as a relative percentage of total global searches, it's, you know, going up or whatever? But I think as more people understand Bitcoin, like in my mind, my simple fucking brain, because I'm not a Google or SEO virgin specialist, like we should expect that to go down, right? Like, this is probably the one where actually, if people wanted to know what Bitcoin is, like fucking Trump's talking about it. You know, it's been in Congress hundreds of times. Like FTX happened. There's so many big global things that have happened with Bitcoin that, you know, if people don't know what Bitcoin is, like, they're probably living under a fucking rock. But yeah, maybe I'm just overthinking it as usual. Yeah, just give me some more fucking rotations on memes, boys and girls. That's what I'm asking for. Look at this. Look how fucking straight all this shit is. Please tell me that's a fucking chart error. I'm gonna fucking reload that. Fucking. Fucking look at it. It just looks like a fucking dead body. Just a fucking flat line. Just beep. That's the fucking pulse of the market right now. This is the fucking garbage that we're trading. Like, fuck that. Fuck that. Absolutely wild. Altcoins just doing literally nothing. I remember, you know, like March, February time where it was just like everything was just doing this, basically. Nice horizontal. Yeah, mate. He is. Spaghetti Charles take you back. Pretty sure I downloaded like 20 of these from your Twitter back in 2021. And you had 50 followers. Yeah, man, I mean, like, it's one of those tools that people love or hate. And I think that a lot of people just don't really get used to them or know how to use them particularly well. And I think it does take a lot of nuance of getting used to, because it looks really fucking simple, right? And the question that I always get is, how do you know which is the best performing asset? And I'm like, well, usually I don't. I have a theory. I have charts set up for things that I'm interested in around certain levels with basically pre-thought out trades there. And then as soon as I start seeing it actually starting to outperform the market, I get a wonderful level of confidence that I'm longing one of the best performing assets or shorting something that is utter garbage, and I can just add to my position size according to that, or execute on the basis of it's actually doing really well compared to the rest of the market. I think it's good. Everyone else thinks it's good. Liquidity is good, and chances are it's probably going to do all right. But yeah, a lot of people just trade with pure price action. I just don't know why you wouldn't add this string to the bow. But then, I don't know, I'll argue with myself because that's what I'm doing on stream, I guess, is it's the same reason I don't try and do flow trading. It's because I don't want to overcomplicate all the bits of analysis and data that my brain is trying to process when I'm sat here like executing trades. I don't want to be like, oh, is the passive side absorbing the bid? Is it spot led? Is it perp led? But what's going on with funding? Is open interest at the high peaks? You just don't really give a shit. Like, just find strength, long it. Much easier. Much more brain dead for my simple brain to handle. Relative strength on alts is super useful to know. Yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean, in conditions like this, like I always say to people that if you want to trade like this is the best time to try and do it. Like even with just a small balance, right, and just a small little amount, just to try it and just see how it works. Because when it then goes into conditions where that are majorly risk on, which happens, every so often, it's cyclic, right? I still believe as long as there's fear and greed, in this world, that this market will behave in this way because it's the most reflexive market ever. Like when you start playing the game on hard mode, which is now, when it goes to easy mode, you will just reap the benefits, and you will just print money hand over fist for a short period, as long as you are not a degenerate fucking pleb that over leverages. Like, it just outperforms in super risk on conditions. Like, and I know everyone's a genius, but not everyone is long in the best performing assets, right? Not everyone is getting the 40% in a day moves, or the rotation after the rotation, which is essentially the next, major move. Like in some days, I can go 10% on one coin, 20% on another, 20% on another, right? Bosh, bosh, bosh. Stack them up, compound it. Bang, bang, bang. Rotation 1, right? Done. Rotation 2, bosh, done. Another coin takes the lead, done. I've had days where I've compounded massive gains just from what this has told me. And most people are like, oh yeah, I found my level. I'm done. Long, great. Right, tick, sold. Where's the next trade? Dunno. Yeah, I'm shilling my method because it works for me, as should everyone, right? Anyway, on that bombshell, I'm gonna love you and leave you all. Thank you very much for coming to the stream. I tend to stream on YouTube. I don't really know why I'm doing it across, oh good lord, across absolutely everything, but I am, for your viewing pleasure or delight and delectation. If I've helped you in any way, then awesome. Thanks for being here. Twitch is great then. Yeah, I did it on Twitch for ages. Not ages, I did it on Twitch for a while, but then there was a problem with like the streams saving and stuff like that. So I moved over to YouTube, and then I thought I might actually do some useful videos on YouTube and do like an education series on YouTube. And then I realised that I couldn't be fucked to do that for free. So I didn't, to put it blunt. But I'm always tempted to do a new spaghetti series, but I've just done hours and hours of content in it. And I always think that if someone really wants to learn, hundreds of hours from us, like me, Magus, and Doc, you could just go in the Paragon group for $150 and just fucking go, here's everything I want to see. Great, done. It's cheaper than any courses, do you know what I mean? And can I really be asked to re-record hundreds, if not thousands of hours of content? Probably not. Join Twitch stream at some point? Yeah, mate, I'm down. I'm down just to chat about markets and stuff. To be honest, I might even do a Spaces at some point. I haven't done a Spaces in a long time. And I think Spaces seem to be quite good in terms of Twitter engagement and stuff, and actually it's probably a bit more of an interactive thing to do. You get speakers up and do all of that. But yeah, nice to see you all. See you nice. I will love you and leave you until next week.